The camcorder that put YouTube on the map was this, the Flip Ultra, back in 2007-2008, or well, the Flip line in general. There were certainly a number of them. There's one example. Here's an example of a later one that actually shot in high definition. But once people migrated from these to what I would consider real camcorders, there were a number of different options that you could buy. You could even buy some high definition cameras back in the day if you really spent your money. But most people ended up with one of these. Very familiar camcorder to many folks getting started with YouTube in 2009, 2010, or folks that, like I mentioned, were upgrading from their older flip cameras to a physical camera. This is a Canon FS200, one of the most ubiquitous standard definition camcorders, probably even until today. At least as far as standard definition flash memory-based cameras are concerned. You could get other options. I mean, there's this here, which would have had a hard drive. Could get them from Sony as well. I'm using a JVC GZ MS110 right now, which I think is a little bit later of a model, but JVC certainly had models back then that were the GZ MS series, MS100, similar. But this was the one that most people went with, and there are a number of different reasons for that, but the biggest one is the fact that this camera, screen up here, this camera has a microphone input, and that is a plug-in power microphone input, so you can use any kind of microphone you want. It also has a headphone jack. The camera that I'm using right now, the JVC GZ MS110, does not have either of those features. It does not have a headphone jack, and it does not have a microphone jack. This Sony, which again I think is a little bit later of a model, a year newer, 2010. We take a look. I don't think it has either. Yeah, it doesn't have either. Well, either. There's no headphone jack, and there is no microphone. This JVC, right here, this is a GZ MG130, same deal. There's an AV out, but that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a headphone and a microphone jack. Here's another example of a cheap, consumer-grade, standard definition camcorder, and even it does not have a headphone or a microphone jack. It doesn't even really have a proper AV out. So you can see where I'm getting at. These flip cameras don't have a headphone jack either, or a microphone jack. So the folks that were using these could have really gone with anything. It didn't really matter. A lot of people were using older camcorders too, like, you know, High 8 and Digital 8 and things like that. And those had headphone jacks and microphone jacks on them. So it was a feature that was desired. And these cameras, of course, shot some of the best video. It's not great, it's still standard definition, and they did have an issue where if in low light, they would tend to wash out in the picture, the frame rate would slow down and you'd get ghosting, which was pretty weird. Sort of like the old tube-based cameras, except maybe not quite as bad. But overall, these cameras represented the best feature set for the lowest price. Go ahead and we take a look. Here's the battery. And it's got a full-size SD card slot. Got a couple different video modes there. It's not a touchscreen. There's aforementioned microphone and headphone jack and the USB. Some other controls. Now, of course, later on, people have migrated to high-definition cameras, and this thing can't hope to hold a candle to those. Here's one such example of a later high-definition camera. This Canon Vixia HF200. This was a pretty popular one, too. And guess what? Guess what it's got? There's a headphone jack there, and it's got a microphone jack. Without further ado, I'm going to stop talking about this, and I'm going to let the camera do the rest of the talking. So I will be right back, thanks to the magic of video editing, with some example footage from this Canon FS200. Okay. We are shooting test video on the Canon FS200. Hopefully this doesn't take too long, because it looks like we might be about to get interrupted with some weather. But it certainly shouldn't. It's been pretty hot and humid for the last long while. There's a rabbit over there. The image stabilizer's on. Of course, I forgot about this. These were things I wanted to keep, but I guess I might end up not. I haven't really decided yet. It certainly did rain quite a bit earlier today, and it's going to keep raining for the next little while, which is not a bad thing, because it's certainly time to get some rain and whatnot into the ground. Things need to start getting wet, because it's been insanely dry and hot for the last long while. It's actually clearing up quite nicely. Yeah, this is not really grass, is it? Of course, they're telling you you're not supposed to mow just yet, because the bees are out right now. They're awakening from their slumber, and I mean, they need something for food. So that eavesdrop is going to be gone through. Get all the junk out of that. I don't know if I have this unlocked or not. Nope. Alright, that's fine. Doesn't really matter. That got all nice and wet. Should probably close this instead of leaving it open. Of course, because it rained, it's now humid, and all the you know how it is once it's humid. The mosquitoes kind of have their way. They're really bad in here. You know, been kind of a pain to try and actually do work in here, because they're just all over the place. So we'll see how the yeah, there we go. They're here already. But anyway, we'll see how the low light on this works, because I know that this particular camera, the FS200, tends to ghost pretty badly in low light. I think it's probably light enough that it won't matter. I think the video light is on. Yeah, I just turned the video light on. It's not going to do much out here, but it's still pretty light out. If you listen carefully, you might be able to hear rumblings. Well, I'm not sure where the actual... Oh, well, there it is. A little bit of lightning there. I don't know if you saw it through the tree. The camera will actually pick it up, but... yeah, it's coming, and it's coming fast. So... I guess I'll probably have to revisit this at some point. Not too long from now. I should probably get some cameras ready. Here's some indoor test footage on the Canon FS200 with full indoor lighting. I should mention that I'm recording these clips in XP mode, which is the highest possible quality. The image stabilization is turned on. And in addition to the image stabilizing being turned on, I have optical zoom as the setting for the zoom, so it's optical only. There is no digital image Almost made the same mistake twice. Digital zoom. But yeah, there's a pretty good idea as to how this looks roughly. I'm sure somebody will complain about all the fan noise, but you know, it's called summer, folks. It's called it's 30 degrees outside. What do you think I'm going to do? You know, I'd rather not boil. I like air circulation. So, should be minimal ghosting. Well, we go to a lower light area. We'll see what it happens to do. One thing that is worth noting is that the battery on this camera drops quite rapidly once it gets low, but I'm sure that's probably got something to do with the age of this camera. It's what I presume is the original battery, and I'm sure that it's probably getting pretty close to end of life. Now, I know the camera has a microphone input, and it is a powered microphone input. I don't really have much in the way of 3.5mm microphones that I can try with it. I do have one. I can see what it happens to do, but I don't really have anything to demonstrate that with otherwise. We might give it a try. I mean, why not? What's the worst that could happen, right? Okay. It's pretty irrespective of what I look at here, but I am using an external microphone, which I can prove. Right here, you can see when I have the microphone right there, that is what it sounds like. I bring it closer to my mouth, that is what it sounds like. I'm not sure if it's coming through both channels. It is a mono microphone. So I guess that's a thing. I'll correct it, obviously, when I'm editing the video. But there is your test of the microphone jack. Probably one of the most useful features on the Canon FS200. Here's some semi-nighttime video, certainly low light, with the FS200. I do find it funny that it's 15 past 9 and there's still some sunlight out. You know, welcome to summer. Definitely. But we're getting close to no light. because the video light doesn't really help much for this kind of stuff. Oh, I left this open. That's neat. So, you can just get an idea for how it performs in, shall we say, less than adequate lighting conditions. Don't think I have the image stabilizing. Oh, I do have the image stabilization turned on, but you can't really tell. So that'll probably turn on in a second and scare me. Probably not going to focus on that, but decent little zoom test. That's a pretty low-flying plane considering it's clear outside, but you know, as I'm being molested by mosquitoes. Yeah, you can't really see much, can you? It's just kind of a blur. Of course, it being 9 o'clock means I've got to really get working on some of these projects that I've been working on. I have to go to work tomorrow, so can't be spending too much time out here. Oh, you can see it's obviously quite a bit later. It's not summer anymore. But, I only just now finally got around to editing the video of this Canon FS200, and I figure I should probably finish it because I never actually really finished it. At the beginning of the video, I talked about the headphone jack and really kind of talked that up, as if that was really the reason why people bought these. Which it really isn't. I don't think most people who are buying these for YouTube in the 2009, 2010, around that time period, really cared about a microphone jack. But it's more so the small size, the low price, and the convenience of it all that really kind of made these things popular for YouTube. Now, that was not without their issues. I may go over the video file format that these use, as well as some other cameras in another video, talking about conversion and things like that. And that can definitely be a pain sometimes. But back in the day, for direct uploads to YouTube, it really didn't matter. YouTube could handle it just fine. So, but here we are, with this Canon FS200, a YouTube staple. Lots of people have these cameras, like I mentioned, back in 2009 and 2010 as a upgrade from the flip cameras that were popular at the time. And like I mentioned, it was the small size and really the low price. These things were quite cheap. And the fact that they used readily available SD cards for recording. A lot of Sony equipment at the time was using their proprietary memory sticks, and those were kind of a pain to deal with. Or you could buy a camera that used tapes. And it's been my carefully considered opinion that mini DV tape really just was not worth what it was cracked up to be. Mini DV tape. DV tapes in general and all the various formats that use the same basic shell are just awful because the tape format was not very good. Does not really lend itself well to longevity. You could use a tape once and that's basically it. Whereas an SD card, you could use basically forever. Now, this is not working very well as far as the battery is concerned. It's dropping like crazy because I'm out in the cold. And that's not a very nice thing to do to a battery. So, I guess before I run it out, I should probably just wrap up the video. So, there is your Canon FS200 standard definition flash memory camcorder from 2009, 2010 or thereabouts. The next logical progression after the flip. Thank you for watching, and if you got any comments, feel free to leave them down below.